Dear listener, it's the day of the ARN, Australian Radio Network AGM, and we're going to dig into it now. Joining me is Natasha Lee, the media editor of Mediaweek, and also my co-host on another little podcast we've got called Media Tarts. Hey, Tash.
Hello, friend. How are you, Wade?
Going well. How are ARN doing after their AGM this morning?
Not quite so well, although you probably wouldn't be able to know that after the AGM ended. I landed on a holding page and the music they had playing was Celebration by Kool and the Gang.
Right. Celebrate good times. Come on.
Odd choice, interesting choice, but very different to the vibe of the AGM. The big thing from it was the commercial fallout from the Kyle and Jackie O show was properly laid bare. And that's the brand safety crisis that they were talking about. And the broadcast revealed that advertiser concerns. And so we're not just talking about MFW, the mad effing witches. I can't believe I'm censoring myself, but I am. I'm so used to it now with kids. We're not just talking about that. We're talking about the brands around them, right? That were, I guess, kind of spurred on by what they were saying and so forth. So that contributed to 26.4 million in lost metro and regional revenue during the full financial year of 25. This is the key part, right? The company were paying Kyle and Jackie O a combined 20 million each year.
Wow.
It's insane.
So it was running at a loss, basically.
Yeah. And I don't think we realized just how big that number was. We had inklings that it was incredibly large, but to read it like that and to perhaps then take that into the entire, I guess, debacle that happened with their contracts and how quickly Jackie was, I guess, terminated. I think maybe we're starting to understand a little bit more about maybe the machinations behind what went on. It's just my opinion. I'm not a lawyer here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because now they put a number to it. First of all, it's a shocking number, but I don't know if people would be surprised. I mean, we all knew there was brand damage, but now they put a number on it. I guess it's a line in the sand moment for them, isn't it? Because effectively by saying that and attributing to the market that there was lost revenue due to brand safety, and that can only be the Kyle and Jackie O show, is they're almost saying, look, we're now resetting, that's behind us. We expect to get revenue back now because we've effectively cut out the unbrand safe piece. So I actually think it's probably a good strategy to get it out there, even though it's like, oh my God, what a number. But now it's kind of like, we're moving on. That's the message I took from that. Is that what you took?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Do you think shareholders would have known that exact number before today?
Well, I think, in investor calls, they might have rung around some shareholders and given them some heads up. I mean, shareholders do get a lot more info, I think, than just what's announced. There's always people talking to people and shoring up votes. And I think Hamish McLennan would have been working the phones in the lead up to this one because there was obviously some controversial elements. So my view is that probably they wouldn't have been surprised by the number, but I think it probably talks more to the overall performance of the company. Were there any shareholders unhappy?
Yeah, there was one guy, David Kingston, and he's an investor, and he took umbrage with McLennan's description of ARN Media's enduring success, and it was quite a testy sort of interaction there. And you're not expecting that really at a financial briefing, really. And he said, if you don't mind me quoting, he said, "Chair, we both speak the English language, and I've got a lot of respect for you. But if you can look everyone in the face and say that ARN is an enduring success when shareholder value has been decimated, I would be shocked." And McLennan replied going, "I don't want to get into semantics."
Right.
It's not semantics. He's basically saying you're winning or you're losing. And he's saying we're winning when they're clearly not winning. But back to your point, I do agree with you. I think it changes the narrative in people's minds as well about ARN and about what they were facing. And if you are a company and if you own a company, then perhaps it lets you understand the decisions made behind it.
Yep.
Right? Yep. You can kind of, I say sympathize is probably a very sort of soft word to use, but you can understand perhaps why they've gone in the way they have. But I think you're right. Like going, this is why the revenue's been bad. This is exactly why that problem is now gone. So we can say to you with confidence that, the next few years should be a success.
Yeah, and they were very clever how they separated out the Kyle and Jackie O language in the statements in the meeting with, we can't talk about that. That's a court case. We intend to defend it. I mean, they've always said that we intend to defend all the actions that are coming our way. But then in terms of results, let's talk about advertising downturn, which everyone understands across the sector. And we'll be talking a bit about in Media Tarts tomorrow about how the sector's travelling and job losses and what the implication of the news bargaining code has done for media. So we'll cover that on Media Tarts tomorrow. But I think that they were very careful to do that and then separate out, look, we have had some brand safety issues. And then we're now going to say, moving forward, we expect to recoup that revenue. I think it was about 22 million metro and 4.5 sort of regional rough numbers. But
yes,
yeah, I mean, I know there were stations that weren't carrying the Kyle and Jackie O Hour of Power while it was on because they just simply got too many complaints, or the stations locally determined it wasn't for them based on brand safety. So you'd have to imagine there's enormous upside from moving forward. Once they get past the legal action, once they get to the courtroom or they settle beforehand, then basically what they're going to be doing is going, right, we now have brand safety, because they doubled down again today on the strategy, didn't they, about becoming an entertainment company?
Yeah, they did. And I've got to say as well, kudos to Michael Stevenson on this. He's been very strong on the strategy of this is an entertainment company now. And he made a point saying any declines that we do have from the core business, which I guess is still the radio business, will be offset by digital, by all these other elements that they're bringing in. And they have brought in people. I mean, he's brought in the 9 team, right? Kerry Elstub, and she's a digital person, and she's somebody who was EP of the Current Affairs, so she's a TV person too. Yeah, she started in radio, but that is her background. So she's got that visual element and that ability to understand also what works online. So, and Shauna Anderson, the former boss of 9.com.au. So these are all people who are not radio people. And it just speaks to Stevenson's plan of diversifying, I guess, how they are going to get in that revenue. It's not just going to be radio now. It's going to be all these other elements. And they're going to have to do it, given SCA is now with Seven West Media. They've got that TV angle that they can push. ARN have to do something. I don't know. Like, I was listening to him again, and I felt this was really the first time where I could kind of see it was like Tetris. All the pieces were kind of going into place now. Okay, I get what you were saying here. I get what you're going to do here. I can understand how this is going to move around, given you've got this person in this role.
Yeah, and I think the strategy hasn't changed from the upfronts in October last year, which was we're broadening out. We're not just audio. We're going to be visual. We're going to be live events. They've re-signed a licensing deal with iHeart for another 10 years. So that's here to stay. They're making moves on the iHeart Live side, including appointments and some resourcing. So, I think what they've said in October is coming true. The difference is, of course, the cast of characters that sat around those announcements, most notably Lauren Joyce, who is the Chief Content Officer announcing them, and then Kyle and Jackie O, who are kind of headlining them. They're all gone, but the strategy remains. So, I mean, you'd have to say if you're at ARN, you've had some bad days, you've had some worse days, and it feels like, at least from the C-suite level, is they can now draw a line and go, let's look forward. But what does it mean, I guess, in terms of cost, Tash? Do they mention anything about more cost savings, which invariably is going to come down to job cuts? Did they talk about that?
Yeah, there was something they said. It's a multi-year cost out and productivity plan or strategy, and that's going to see them through to 2027. I'm not as across it, though. Are you?
Yeah, well, I did hear something about they're looking to deliver $55 million in productivity gains, which is effectively two things. It's cost savings and then using those funds to do other things. So across 4 years, about 55 million, I think. And they talked out how they want to invest more in data and digital. So that they do want to reinvest it. It's not going to disappear. But in terms of cost outs, yeah, I mean, that's going to be people again. But look, they're not alone. Across the media world at the moment, job cuts, sadly, are a part of life. And I think as we get these macroeconomic conditions, the headwinds that the Iran war has given everyone, the spookiness that happens to the media industry when everyone feels a little bit nervous, and everyone feels a little bit, unsure of the future, then they're not going to be alone in that. So we'll wait and see what the other companies say in their AGMs as well. But yeah, it does look like more cost savings to come, I think.
In the meantime, let's celebrate the good times. Wait, Kingsley?
Oh, celebrate good time. I can't sing. Come on. Hey, we'll be having some good times on Media Tarts tomorrow. So if you haven't listened yet, Natasha and I host a weekly podcast called Media Tarts. We look at the week in media. It's out from about 1:00 tomorrow afternoon. That's Friday. So join us for a little champers and end of week, and we can celebrate good times together. Thanks, Tash.
Bye.